everyone. This is Venture Investor Economic Focus by InnMind, and today our guest is founding partner and general director of Genezis Technology Capital, Maxim Shekhovtsov. Hi, Maxim.
Hi.
As far as I understand, you are now in lockdown in Moscow, correct? How are you?
Yes, I'm great. Nothing, there is no problem. We're not locked, so we are heavily investing.
Okay, yeah, I heard about that. And that was the reason why I wanted to introduce you to the global startup community, because you are one of the rare companies, venture capital firms, which are not on the pause or postponing their investment activities. You are actively investing. As far as I remember, you are investing in robotics, in artificial intelligence, and in some other segments.
Yes, correct. We're in early stage VC with the focus on robotics and artificial intelligence in many industries and fields, including mechanical engineering, light industry, manufacture of building materials, food industry, furniture production, and pharmaceuticals, as well as education, finance, and medicine. I also represent the biggest in Eastern Europe club for tech investors, Genezis Investor Club, with more than 500 VCs and business angels that actively invest in tech companies all over the world.
That is great. And Genezis Technology Capital is feeling good and investing actively. But what do you see on the market around yourself? I mean, what do you see is happening with the venture capital market in Russia and those countries where you are focusing in, I guess, CIS and Eastern Europe?
Frankly speaking, for us, it does not matter what happens on the stock market. Whether it goes up or down, we are in a completely different industry. We invest in tech startups with a focus, as I said, in robotics and AI. Big part of our portfolio, edutech company with moderately small checks, which services are in high demand. Another example of our portfolio company is industrial robotics company that lets enterprises continue manufacturing in spite of restrictions that authorities put on working people. They ought to stay at home.
Robotics is definitely boosting now. How are your portfolio companies feeling?
Great. As I said, fortunately, we have chosen the focus of hardware robotics companies 2 years ago, and they are booming now. You
are investing mostly in Russian companies?
Yes. No, we have 2 portfolio companies in European Union, Ireland. One of them produces sensors for satellites and jets. Other company makes service robots. So all these solutions can exchange people, which is very important during the pandemic.
And being a venture investor, do you see increase of the startup applications from different parts of the world?
Yes, we see there is a big scarce of capital on the one hand, but on the other hand, the company that have chosen the business model, which are not based on human interactions, are booming. And so far, we see that there is no problems to raise capital for these companies. We know that some VCs and private equity funds that have raised capital before the crisis can intensively invest. And what we do is invest in these models, the models that have no interaction of people, robotics, artificial intelligence.
Maxim, can you please share your wisdom? How do you select the startups and investment opportunities?
It's practically very similar to other VCs. We have much in common with other early stage VCs, but we, as I said, focus very focused VC. we have much experience in hardware startups. Some of these hardware startups we have set up ourselves from the scratch as entrepreneurs. So we know how to build the hardware company from the very, very start. So our focus reflects our interaction and our strategy.
Okay, you mentioned that you were also building startups previously. Can we call you venture builder?
Somehow, not always we become founders in companies. But almost in every investee company, we are the first investor.
Do you face any problems in access to the capital? Because being venture capital firm, you also depend on the capital from your LPs, and they may face troubles during the crisis.
As a general view, in every crisis, there are troubles with fundraising for VCs and startups. But the most focused VCs with growing businesses, but our portfolio is growing rapidly. We have 2 edtech companies in our portfolio and 3 robotics companies, which gained a lot from the crisis. And practically speaking, we don't have problems with LPs. They invest invest in our fund. But on the other hand, you are absolutely right. There is a lot of fear on the market. People are afraid of the future. They don't know what will happen.
If you have questions which we did not cover in this and other videos, or you have in your mind some interesting speakers you would like us to invite for the next interviews, please don't hesitate to put it in the comments under this video. Leave your feedback. This is essentially important for InnMind team. And I promise, we read every comment and we reply to each of you. And we will consider your recommendations, questions and feedback in the preparation of our next videos and content to be sure that we provide the most valuable and useful content for startup founders and tech entrepreneurs.
But on the other hand, there is no any need to diminish the motivation of entrepreneurs. So the valuations of big companies will drop down, but the valuation of good startups with good solid idea, which have a very, very good perspective and very, very strong teams with a great demand on the market, will not drop down. So the problems are with the, as I said, with the companies that have human interactions, with old-fashioned offline businesses, because they are in big trouble. But the prospective companies that gained from online services, from the big demand on automation, of robotization, these companies will not suffer. The valuations will grow. As we can see from some kind of big robotics companies and some kind of communications companies like Zoom and many others.
But I'm happy to hear that there is a chance for early stage and prospective startup founders still. Maxim, what technological sectors, on your opinion, will be the most interesting for investing in and which will boom after the crisis for the long term? I understood already robotics, yes, definitely, and you made a good choice. EdTech, yes, you also mentioned it, but what other industries and segments?
What are the industries? Finance, fintech, everything that will not need personal interaction. everything that will dramatically diminish expenditures of businesses, everything that will lets people communicate distantly, which makes services without people. This is very, very sorry, because we are a very focused fund. So we see the niches in pharmaceuticals, in construction, in building, in many cases where the robots can be used. That's our specific. And education, of course.
But how do you think, Maxim, honestly speaking, can there be any dilemma, ethical dilemma, in implementing more and more robotic solutions and getting rid of human power?
Frankly speaking, no. And I say why. There is a general, a very, very well-known history about the British Academy of Science in the beginning of 20th century. The British Academy of Sciences made a forecast of how the London would look like after the 20 years. But they suddenly found that there were a lot of rubbish from horses in the streets. They could not forecast the boom of cars and self-cars and automobiles. Robotization is something that will let the human capital show and boost much more. Robots destroy very, very hard labor, destroy cheap labor, and lets human capital education grow up. This will expand intellectual activity and let people and will make the service industry go faster. So it's not the problem for well-developed countries. I mean, robots will help human capital expand.
That's a good example and good explanation. Thank you. But do all people understand it the same way? I mean, do you sometimes have to talk with authorities or with various of human rights defenders explaining and proving the opposition? Or it's not the case yet?
It's not the case yet. But the businesses before the pandemic thought about their performance, about the effectiveness, about the cutting the costs. But now, for example, our clients of our industrial robotics company, we called them half a year ago and explained your expenditures will fall for 20 or maybe 30%. Now their plant is frozen. Authorities stopped production. They have demand, but they can't produce anything. So robotics for us is maybe a reason to survive. It's the only source of survival. But the pandemic will end, and on the other hand, of course, they will use more and more automation in their businesses.
Mm-hmm. Maxim, you're also joining the board of many startups which you invest in. During this period, what main or most common advice do you give to your startup founders? How to use these opportunities which you see now and how to overcome potential threats?
As a common sense crisis, again, is a great time for startups too. They must think about their customers' business performance. they must think how they will reduce expenditures of their clients. So because the clients will have much less resources, so startups must think more about how can they help grow their businesses. Be fast and focus on their customers' business performance, about their real costs, and how can they help reduce expenditures of their clients.
So customer development, focus on your client, and be fast, much faster than competitors.
Yes, and think about how to reduce the costs of their clients.
Amazing.
Because they have much less resources.
Maxim, thanks. This is really valuable advice. And I hope those startup founders which will be watching this video, they will keep this in mind and really implementing their business cycle. Speaking about those technological sectors which are not yet benefiting from the situations. I mean, not robotics or edtech, but for example, most of the software can benefit actually. But for example, some other industry, solar panels or whatever, what advice will you give to those startup founders?
You are right. Now all businesses and services which models are based on personal interactions will be under big pressure. I mean, of course, tourism, offline interaction services, dating, and all other offline traditional industries, of course, such as real estate, recreations, restaurants, and etc. Maybe do something order on demand.
Maxim, what about yourself? How did the current situation influence your deal origination process? Before, you probably participated in a lot of startup events, pitch competitions, etc. You met founders there. Now everything is stuck to online. Do you use platforms like InnMind, Crunchbase to generate the deals?
The business style a bit changed. Of course, most of the conferences and forums went online. But on the other hand, I found many opportunities. For example, 3 or 4 months ago, we gathered together on the VC forum with the audience of maybe 400 people. 3 days ago, I participated in an online conference with the audience 5,000 people. So the audience of our potential clients have dramatically raised. On the other hand, we suffer from absence of personal communication. It's very important. You can't invest online, but some investors invest in our fund after the introduction online. But it's not purely online communication. We have introductions, connections, people, common interests from the same industry. But the style of business, the approach, I don't think it's dramatically changed.
Mm-hmm. Speaking about investing online, many venture investors stick to a conservative point of view that they have to meet with founding team in person. Yes. Before investing, yes. But some others, they are okay just making Skype or Zoom calls and investing like that. Where do you stand?
Of course, we can't invest in startup without personal meeting. That's my opinion. We did not close any deal during this 3 or maybe 4 weeks. But we plan to close the deal we originated 2 months ago. So we know these people and we continue to invest in teams we knew before the crisis. But full investments with minority stakes, without deeper deep understanding, or maybe without big participation on the board, is possible.
What do you mean?
For example, the company raises a round with the respective VCs who have done due diligence, and they know this company and they know the team. But we trust the expertise of this leading investor. We can join the round. But if we're the leader, we must deeply understand what the team is doing.
And do you sometimes make joint rounds with European or American VC firms or syndicate funds?
Yes, but have not closed these deals during the pandemic.
Oh.
We have several co-investments in our EU companies. I said about these companies in Ireland. We have co-investors from leading European VCs.
You can name this company in Ireland, and we will put the link and promote it.
InnLabs.
InnLabs.
This company produce gyroscopes and accelerometers. Among the clients are Google, SpaceX, Boeing, and many others. My friend, close friend, is a founder of this company. As I said, we're almost always the first investor in the company. We invested in this company on the stage of prototype.
And now it is doing business already, maybe in Series A or even B?
Even C. It's a big company, big profitable company, world technology leader in its niche.
Then you probably expect a very good exit.
Every VC expects great exits.
This is amazing that you are actively investing right now in the startups. And for those startup founders which will be watching this video, can you give them overview on what kind of startup or team or excellence you are looking for, so that to be sure that those ones which will try to connect with you, they will understand that they match your profile of perfect startup and investment opportunity?
As I said, we're a very, very early stage investor. We can invest on the stage of idea. Why so risky? For us, it's not risky. We know how to build a hardware company. We did it with my friend and the partner 4 times from the scratch. So every idea from the sphere of robotics is welcome, because we are one of the most experienced investors and entrepreneurs in the sphere of robotics. The niche industry can be very, very different, as I said. Pharmaceuticals, education, construction, industrial robotics. We have built the first in Eastern Europe industrial robotic company from the scratch. And this company now is a leader on the local Russian markets and grows very fast. Although the company is very young, just 1.5 years old. So we know how to build the company from the scratch. If you have idea in robotics, come to us. We will help you grow and build the business fast.
Do you have any limitations regional-wise? I mean, Eastern Europe, okay, Russia, okay, but what about Latin America, India, Asia?
Ideas are welcome from all over the world, but frankly speaking, as we are very focused and like to communicate with people and spend a lot of time for entrepreneurs, which is crucially important on the very, very early stage of the company. It should be a bit close to us, a bit close to Europe, but it doesn't matter from which country the idea or entrepreneur will come to us.
Mm-hmm. And the last question in this series, just to finalize the topic of selection. How do you actually identify the less risky or the higher potential opportunities at such an early stage? What is 1, 2, 3 triggers which makes you excited?
The answer is very, very simple. We are co-founders in this company. We are not only support with money and capital. We become co-founders in these businesses and put all our experience we gained from all our prior hardware companies inside a new company. It looks very risky, but in fact, the risk is diminished with our experience. We did it many times as entrepreneurs. So we are co-founders in this business. We need to find passionate entrepreneurs who is willing to work and is ready to work in a team. So we give him capital, give our experience, give our knowledge of global markets. With in our other portfolio companies, which we founded with my friend, we sell the products all over the world. I mean, hardware products. We designed and produced from the scratch.
Amazing. This is the best answer I could expect. At least for me, it is completely clear. And guys who are watching this video, if you have great ideas in robotics, if you have burning eyes and a lot of energy, and if you are not too far away from Eastern Europe or Moscow, then please get in touch with Genezis Technology Capital, pitch to Maxim, and be sure that they will provide you not only with money, but also expertise, which will enable growing your project fast and implementing in the industry in the best possible way. Maxim, that's really smart approach of investing. I love it a lot. Thank you for doing this. And thank you for spending your time to answer our questions today.
Thank you very much for your time. Very interesting questions and very, very professional network that you represent.
Thanks a lot, Maxim. Take care and see you later.
Bye.